What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is a beautiful yet very cold day here in Missouri, but even more so, it is a great day because this is a video I have been waiting to make for so very long, and it is an update on the ordering status of my 2020 Corvette C8. Again, I've been waiting so long to make this, and I wasn't sure when I would be making this. Because of all the strikes that took place, everybody's Corvettes have been pushed back in time. I just didn't know how much it would affect mine, but I finally now know, and I'm gonna let you guys know exactly where I stand in my ordering status. But even more so, I found out over the last couple of months, people are kind of confused about how the ordering statuses work, the numbering, and everything. So I thought today, while I updated you on my order status, we just talk about how the ordering works and what all the numbers mean and break it down. So we're gonna do that in today's video. Before we get started though, look at the R8. It is looking really good in the sun. I've got kind of some direct sun. I tell you what, this car has been awesome the last couple of months. I know a lot of my followers aren't too keen on it, just they love Corvettes and the R8 isn't that great, but I can promise you this car is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. But nevertheless, let's get into how the order status works. All right. Okay, that is better. Now, I decided to film out in the garage because I thought the R8's a cooler backdrop than just a basic, I don't know, white drywall background. I'm gonna have some overlays so you won't see it the whole time. But I do have, let me grab it here, the sheet explaining, again, how the order status system works with GM when you're ordering your car. And again, we're gonna talk specifically about this C8. And so as I go through here, I'm gonna tell you exactly where my order status stands in this lineup. We're not gonna hit every single one. A lot of them are ones that don't matter. They won't be something that will pertain to almost anybody. We're gonna hit the big ones. And I'm gonna explain to you all some of the things that you need to look out for that I've learned from the forums. A lot of people that are very smart that have done this a lot of times. So we're gonna kick it off. The very first order number status that you can have is 1000. And that means order on hold at dealership. And this very first one is important because I was at 1000 for a long time. And this is where I read the last generation of Corvettes, the C7, a lot of people got burnt on because they walked into a dealership, put a deposit down, walked out and thought their car was coming, and they never heard anything, and they would finally get fed up, walk in, talk to the person, and they were still at 1000 status. They had never moved up. 1000 does not mean anything. Mine was at 1000 just because I put a deposit down, but it doesn't guarantee you anything at that point. So I was really frustrated because I kept waiting, but my sales guy said just be patient because things can move very, very quickly, and you'll hear, as in my story, how things can move pretty quickly. But again, 1000 really means nothing. It just means you have either a deposit or an allocation on hold at your dealership, but GM has not accepted anything, none of that. So make sure if you walked into a dealership, have a deposit, and you think you've got an order number, they give you an order number. It could be like an RS, I think, or a W starting off, and it's usually like 6 digits, I think. That doesn't mean anything. You're probably at 1000 status unless you know, because most likely you know whether you're farther than that status. And so that's where I was at for a very long time, and I think a lot of people watching this video probably are at the same point. But I knew my status should be changing because I was in the first allotment, or was supposed to be, and then I heard otherwise. I heard I might be in the second because I might have missed it. And again, we're gonna get that in a second. 1100, that's the next status that you can get to, and that means the order is placed at your dealership. They have actually input it into their computer for GM to accept. GM hasn't accepted it yet, but this is a move in the right direction. That means that they most likely have an allotment for you and they're sending it off to GM. So 1100 is a good status, but we're still not quite there. It's not exactly when the magic is happening. So again, you'll know when you hit 1100, but still exciting. Then there's like 1101 and 1102 means it's orders entered via web, yada, 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 if you didn't go through a dealership for that. 2000. 2,000 is where things get exciting, and that is the order is accepted by Chevrolet. GM has accepted and will produce your Corvette. So the one you've built out, you've probably already got the details hashed out. Even after this point, you can usually change some of the details, but at this point, hopefully you know exactly what you want on your Chevrolet, but on your Corvette. But you've sent it off, or I guess the dealership has sent it off, or maybe you've done it on the web, and they have accepted. They've said, hey, this is the car you want to build. We are accepting it. Someone's gone through it and accepted that. 2,000 is very, very exciting. But again, we want really a status coming is even more so exciting than that. But 2,000, if you're at the 2,000, that's the exciting. That's where I currently sit. I'm not at 3,000, and I'm going to explain what that means, but I am finally at the 2,000 status. And so that's very exciting because I moved very quickly. It went from I was waiting on 1,000 forever to my dealer, my sales guy that I was working with, John, at the dealership, called me and said, hey, we're gonna order it, you're gonna be 1,100, and then immediately let me know pretty quickly after that, you're at 2,000. They have accepted it, there's an allotment. And that's where you're seeing a lot of people of the first early allocations at their dealerships are now getting 2,000, some even at 3,000. So let's move on. At this point, as I mentioned, you can usually make a few changes. 2050 means your order has been changed, or 2030, order was edited by Chevrolet. I believe I've read that means there was an issue with the way it was built out. Sometimes that's the sales guy, they messed something up on the order, because someone's gonna go through your order, make sure everything looks good at Chevrolet, or GM I should say, and then they're gonna accept it. And that's when you get that 2,000, but you could get the 2030 status or 2050 if you so choose. 3,000. This again, another special point, and that is the order is accepted by production control. That means your car is going to be produced. Even 2,000 means it's most likely going to be produced, but 3,000 means, hey, you're on the next level. It's ready, slated for production pretty much. There's a few in there in between, like 3,100, the order's available to sequence. But then once you get to 3,300, in the 3,000 status as 3,300, your order is selected and scheduled for production by assembly plant. That's about at the point you know your car is going to be produced, and you're going to get a TPW, and that's essentially your production week. When are you going to get your scheduled production week? And at that point, you know when your car is going to be produced. And as you can imagine, the next one after that there's actually 3,400. That's order broadcasted for production. They've taken your number and they broadcasted, hey, here's the next car ready for the assembly line. And once you see 3,800, that means your vehicle is produced. That's an exciting number. That is the car. That's the number that I'll be giving you an update through this segment, but I'm going to be jumping for joy when I can tell you my car is at status 3,800. That means the car is built. That means it's ready. Essentially, there's still going to be some times it's still got to be shipped to the dealership. Some people will pick it up in Bowling Green, but 3,800 is an exciting time for a lot of people. It certainly will be for myself. But that is what a lot of people are waiting for, is that 3,800 number. And then you have, after that, 4,000, the vehicle is available to be shipped. But that doesn't mean it's being shipped. That means, hey, the car's gone through the pre-production status. They got to go through and look at everything, make sure everything looks right. And then 4,000 means, hey, car's off to the side, it's done. We got to set up a shipment. Then you essentially get to 4,150, the vehicle is invoiced to your dealership, and then 4,200 is the next big one, the vehicle is shipped. And that means it's in the shipment, and usually you can track that shipment, or your dealership can give you updates, whichever so you choose. And then there's essentially 5,000, and that means the vehicle is delivered to the dealership. And sometimes they have a little bit of time they've got to spend with the car, make sure everything is right on their side, and then they will call you, hey, come pick up your car. Again, that's a big one. that's 5,000. 6,000 is one you will probably never see because that is vehicle delivered to customer. You're not going to be following the status numbers anymore because if you have got the car, you know you have the car. So the last one is 9,000. Order is canceled. Hopefully that only happens under, hopefully that doesn't happen to anybody other than if you expecting it. So that shouldn't be a problem for most people. They should be getting their cars. Now, let's talk a little bit about how you can track this. You can talk to the Corvette concierge. There's a number online that you guys can check that out. I'll even put it in my description below. You can check online through Chevrolet, or of course, as most of you all will do, talk to your dealers. The guy that I've worked with, the sales guy's been great, John, at my local dealership. I should be getting email updates as those statuses change. So I'll be updating you all when I know those statuses have changed. But that's another way that a lot of dealerships are doing it. They just give you an update, and I'm excited. I can't wait till I hit the 3,000, but being at 2,000 is very exciting. That's what I've been waiting for a while. My next big one, again, I want that TPW, that production week. When is my car going to be produced? So let me go into a little bit more backdrop on my car. If anybody, has just came for understanding these numbers, at this point, I'm just going to talk about my car really for the subscribers that are interested in the journey of me purchasing the car and all the content going forward. So essentially, I had told you all that I should be in the first allotment. And about a month ago, I had talked to John, and he wasn't so sure. I was number 24 in line. They thought they'd get about 25 allocations in their kind of first push through to GM. It sounded like I might have actually been pushed back. They didn't get quite as many as they were hoping for. And so I was a little bummed because I didn't know how long that was going to put me. Well, sure enough, just about 2 weeks ago, John emailed me and said, it's that time. And so I called him and spoke with him, and essentially what happened for mine was I was bumped out by one. I was in the second allotment, and luckily enough, there was someone in that first allotment. He said that their wife wanted them to get a convertible, and the convertible is incredible. Thank God for convertibles, because they're not taking the orders yet for convertibles, and so it pushed his into the second allotment, and I took his spot since I was the next one kind of in the waiting list to go into the first pool, the first round of builds to go off to GM. So that was really exciting. And like I said, it happened really quick. So for you all out there watching this video, maybe you're a little bit worried, you're still sitting at the 1,000 status. It can go pretty quick. But timing is odd. There can be chunks between each change in status that you weren't expecting. But for me, it went from waiting on 1,000 forever to 1,100 to quickly to 2,000. And that's where I sit. But John has told me his understanding is possibly I could be receiving mine at the end of March or early April. I was expecting it to be way further than from them. He's not guaranteeing that. Of course he can't. Anything is possible. But where mine sits, he believes that mine is going to be one of the first cars to come in to the dealership. I'm going with torch red. I don't have any, stipulations on the car that could be pushing me back further. Mine is a pretty clear-cut car to build. It's what they're looking for. The 3LT fully built out with the Z51 mag ride, everything. That's what they're wanting to kind of build first. And so that's exciting. So I wanted to, share this update with you all and let you know that it looks like my car may be coming in earlier than I was starting to think. I was worried it was going to be May or June. The Stradman, he is buying one. He's a big YouTuber. Most of you all are probably familiar with him. He was saying his may not be till May, and I don't know who he's dealing with or where he stands in the lineup. I would guess he's pretty early. So mine could be May as well, but my whole point in today's video, not just to explain how the statuses work, but really is to say my car is going to be one of the first ones to be built and first ones to be coming to my dealership. And next year is going to be a huge year for the channel. This year, a lot of you all have not really been a big fan of the R8, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been more of a personal fun car, and I don't know where it stands yet. If I'm going to be purchasing the C8 and getting rid of this or keeping it. My brother really wants to buy it, but we're not really sure where it stands yet, whether we're keeping it or not. It just hasn't been, I don't think, as enjoyable for a lot of my subscribers. The C8 is really going to be the bread and butter of the enjoyment for a lot of you all, and I have so many things planned. My first track days are going to be in my C8. I'm going to try to do the Ron Fellows videos, track experience. I have a lot of things planned with my C8, so that is going to be exciting. I hope a lot of you all are excited to see that content. Next year is going to be a very busy year for me, but we're going to be going back to more of the vlog standard of videos. It's going to be the videos that I think a lot of you all are going to enjoy and opportunity. But next year is going to be a big change for the channel, and I think a lot of you all are going to be really excited to see what I have in store. So thank you all so much for joining me on the video. I know it's kind of been a bit long-winded, but I hope you got a bit out of it and understand how that ordering status works and getting your TPW for your production week. That is really the big one. When you get your TPW, that's at that point, you've made it. You're at the home stretch. You know when your car is going to be produced, and there's very little to get in the way of that. So make sure for you all that are still at the 1,000 status, you know, hang in there. You're going to get to the point where you're at 2,000. You'll feel a lot better. But if you're also watching this video and you're not sure where you stand, or you haven't heard from your sales guy, you might be getting the runaround. Make sure you know what status. Ask him what status you're at, because just because you have an order number and a deposit down, again, that doesn't mean anything. So again, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. It supports me so much. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing, and make sure you have that bell notification so every time I upload a video, you all know when it uploads. YouTube doesn't do a great job of letting you all know that. So thank you again always. You all take care, and we'll see you next video.